So after going through and kind of figuring out what an ellipse actually is, we can go through and identify the major axis, the centers, the values of A, B, and C, and the foci, and go through and kind of figure out what's going on. What I want to do first is I want to change this and flip these just to make it more interesting, because I want to have one that's horizontal and one that's vertical so you guys can see both. So because I flipped these, it now has a horizontal major axis. And when I do these, I go through the same process. I say, what is the center? Well, the center is going to be 0, 0. Okay, very exciting there. And then I look for A. Look at the numbers underneath. The bigger one, square root of it, is A. So 25, square root of 25 is 5. So A is 5. And B is the square root of 4, which is 2. That means C is going to be A squared minus B squared. Okay, so 25 minus 4 is 21, which means that C is going to be the square root of 21, because C squared equals 21, which means C is equal to the square root of 21. Now that I know those, I can kind of figure out what's going on. And when you're trying to understand these at first, it's easiest just to draw a picture. Okay, so I'm going to plot my center, and then I'm going to plot my vertices. They're 5 away from the center. And then I'm going to plot my co-vertices. These are 2 away from the center vertically. And I know that the vertices are horizontally away because it's a horizontal major axis. And I know those are the endpoints of the vertices. And to plot my foci, well, I need to figure out where they are first. I know my foci are going to be somewhere in here, because it's horizontal. So they need to be like here and here somewhere. So if I look at my center, I can find the foci. So the foci are equal to the square root of 21, comma 0, because the distance C is the square root of 21. So they're going to be like right here, a little bit above 4, and then minus the square root of 21. So it's going to be back over there. Okay. Then you can kind of piece together where it is. I really think drawing a picture of these helps a lot in figuring out where stuff is. In our next problem, this one's a little bit more complicated, has a lot more going on, but we're going to leave the 25 underneath here. So now it's a vertical major axis. Okay, so with a vertical major axis, same process though. Okay, find A, B, and C. A is always the bigger number, so it's square root of 25, which is 5. And then B is the square root of the smaller number, which is 3. And then C is going to be A squared minus B squared. Well, 25 minus 9 is equal to 16, and the square root of 16 is 4, so C is 4. So then my center is going to be at 2, comma, negative 3. Let's go plot that. So go over 2, go down negative 3, put a point. All right, now let's use my A, B, and C to plot everything else, and then I can use my graph to label my foci. Okay, so A is the vertice. That's vertical because it's underneath the y, so I go up 5, down 5 from my center. B are my co-vertices. I'm going to go over 3 on both directions. And then I have my foci, which are 4. And these are also on the major axis. So they go like that. All right, and then you can choose to draw in your ellipse. It's not easy. It's almost as bad as a circle, but it's not too terrible. I forgot to draw one in over here. There we go. It's beautiful. Okay, knowing that, and I can now find my foci because I graphed them, so it makes it really easy. As a matter of fact, I think it's easiest just to graph the foci to kind of figure out where they're going to be, so you can tell what you're going to add or subtract to. Because if you remember, going back, I actually tell you where the foci are. It's h, comma, k plus c, and k minus c. So let's try that. So foci are h, which is 2, comma, negative 3 plus 4, which is 1, and then 2 comma negative 3 minus 4, which is negative 7. And if you look, they do in fact match up there, which is kind of nice. So you can either remember that or you can make a picture. I honestly think making a picture is a little bit easier, but it's up to you. Okay, next problem. Looks really complicated. Okay, clearly it's not in the right form, so we got to simplify it. And it's actually pretty easy to do. All you want to do is divide by 144. Okay, so if I divide by 144, I end up with 9x squared over 144 plus 16y squared over 144 is equal to 144 divided by 144. Okay, with that information, I know this simplifies. Okay, so this is going to become 1 is equal to, and 9 divided by 144 is clearly 1 over 16. So I get x squared over 16 plus y squared over 9. And this is my equation here with that y equals 1 thing. Okay, now this is really easy. I know the center is at 0, 0. And then I got 16 and 9. So that means A is equal to 4 and B is equal to 3. I can find C. 16 minus 9 is 7, so C is equal to the square root of 7. Getting some radicals in here, but that's not bad. And then I know that this is a horizontal major axis. Okay, and with that information I can plot and then use my graph to find my two foci. Okay, let's graph these. Center first, 0, 0. And then I know my major axis is horizontal, so I go over 4 this way. My A distance, my minor axis is vertical, so I go up 3. And then I'm going to go over my C value, which is the square root of 7, which is a little bit less than 3. And there we go. I have it graphed. Okay, nothing too terrible. Drawing my ellipse. Looks beautiful. Okay, and that means my foci, I'm going to add and subtract C from my H value. So I got square root of 7, comma 0, and negative square root of 7, comma 0. Alright, last problem is where it gets real complicated, and this is just about as hard as a problem I can make for you. I'm going to have to complete the square twice, because that's fun. Okay, let's write it down. 4x squared minus 32x plus 9y squared minus 90y is equal to negative 253. So all I did was break this apart into its kind of groups and move my number over to the other side. So my number without a variable to the other side. So now I'm going to factor 4 out of x squared and negative 32x to start completing my square, because we know my a value in front of that x squared must be 1. Leave a space, plus 9 times y squared minus 10y is equal to negative 253. Okay, now I have to complete the square in both things. So to complete the square, I gotta think, okay, what completes the square here? Well, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. So 16 completes the square here. So if I'm adding 16 to this side equation, I also have to add 16 over to the other side, but because I'm multiplying by 4, I have to add 16 times 4, which is 64. Same thing here. Negative 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is plus 25. And then 9 times 25 is positive 225. Okay, add these things together, and my resulting equation is going to be 4 times x minus 4, completing my square there, plus 9 times y minus 5 squared is going to be equal to 36. To get it in the right form, I'm just going to divide by 36 and end up with x minus 4 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 1, and then underneath here is going to be a 9, and underneath here is going to be a 4. Once I have this information, I can find my a, b, and c. A is equal to 3, b is equal to 2, c is equal to the square root of 5, and then my center is at 4, 5, and my foci are going to be a little bit trickier to find. So let's go back to our equations. This is clearly a horizontal ellipse because the 9 is under the x squared, and that's the bigger number. So let's go see what it says. All right, horizontal ellipse says to find your vertices, add a to h. To find your co-vertices, add b and subtract b from k. And to find your foci, add c to h. So to find my foci down here, I want to add c to h. So my foci are going to be 4 plus the square root of 5, 5, and 4 minus the square root of 5, 5. Okay, you can remember those equations, or you could go through and draw a picture. It's the same process. So for a picture, you go over 4, up 5, put in your vertices, put in your co-vertices, and then you know that your square root of 5 is a little bit more than 2, so it's going to be about right here, distance away. And that kind of gives you an idea of what to do. You don't need to remember those formulas. You can go through and draw a little sketch and figure out what's going on, just like we did with the parabolas. Creating sketches in these problems is a really good idea. All right, let's go through and write some equations from the given characteristics. All right, in this first one, it gives me the center, the vertex, and the co-vertex. So what I like to do in these kind of problems is draw a quick little sketch to see what's going on. So my center is at 0, 0. My vertex is at 6, 0, right there. And my co-vertex is at 0, 4, up here. All right, because my vertex is horizontally a distance away from my center, and it's 6 away, that means my a value is equal to 6. And it's a horizontal ellipse, so that's going to be underneath the x squared. B value is equal to 4. All right, and really I don't need any more information than this. I have the center and I have the two vertices, and my a value and my b value. Once you have your center and your a and b value, you're done. You don't need anything else for these equations. Okay, so I got x squared over 36, because that's 6 squared, plus y squared over 16, which is 4 squared, is equal to 1. They're always equal to 1. You can remember that. All right, this next one. Center at 0, 0, and then vertex at 0, negative 10. Okay, so this one's going to be a vertical ellipse. And then my co-vertex is at 4, 0, which is right here. Okay, because I know this, I know a is equal to 10, b is equal to 4, center's at 0, 0 again, so it's x squared over my b value this time, squared, which is 16, plus y squared over 100 is equal to 1. Okay, this next one's a little bit different. I give you the center, which is not at 0, 0, so let's carefully graph that. So my center is instead at 1, 3, so about right here. And then it says the ellipse has a width of 10 and a height of 8. Well, the width is bigger than the height. This is going to be 10, which means 5 this way and 5 this way. And the height is 8. It's going to be this way here, 4 this way, 4 this way. And that gives me my a and b value. A is 5, b is 4. Once I have that information in the center, I can go through and graph it. So it's going to be x, well not graph, but write the equation, x minus 1 quantity squared divided by 25 plus y minus 3 quantity squared divided by 16 is equal to 1. These really aren't that bad. You just have to be careful going through and identifying, is it vertical or horizontal? That tells you where to put the a and b and then throw your center in there. All right, this next one, it says the center is at 0, 0. The foci is at positive and negative 5, 0. And the covertices are at 0, plus or minus 7. So let's graph this real quick. I really do think graphing helps with these problems quite a bit. So my foci are at positive and negative 5. There's one foci. Here's the other foci. My covertices are at plus and minus 7. It's all the way up here. Oh, I did those in the wrong color. I've been trying to be consistent with my colors, but I messed up right there. Okay, and then I know my vertices are going to be somewhere else, and I need to be able to calculate that. So what do they give me? Well, they give me my c value is equal to 5. That's this distance here. And then I also know my b value is equal to 7. So given that information, I can go through and calculate a, because I know c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared, which is the same thing as saying a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. And the nice thing about this is if I know b squared is 49 and c squared is 25, I know then a squared is equal to 49 plus 25, which is just 74. And then I don't need to find a, because I'm really looking for a squared to put underneath stuff. So I got x squared over, it's a horizontal ellipse, so the 74 goes here, plus y squared over 49, my b squared value. So you don't really need to solve for a, b, and c in these. You just need to find a squared so you can write the equation, or b squared. You don't really care about c, but sometimes you need to use it. All right, 9. It gives me a weird center, and then says the foci and covertices. So very much like the last one, but my center is a little bit different. Okay, let's make a graph. This is where graphing really kind of helps understand what's going on. My center is at negative 2, 4. So it's right there. My foci is at 1, 4, so I go over 1, up 4. Looking at that, that means my c distance is 3. And then my covertice is at negative 2, 0. So I go negative 2, 0. That means my b distance is equal to 4. Given this information, I know a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. So 16 plus 9, which is equal to 25. And once I have that, I can go through and write down my center. So I got x plus 2 squared divided by 25 plus y minus 4 squared divided by 16 is equal to 1. All right, last problem, and then we'll be done here. Looking at this, it gives me the center, the focus, and an x-intercept. That's kind of weird, so let's go through and draw a picture again. Okay, so my center's at 0, 0. My focus is at 4, 0. This is 4, and that's where my focus is. And then it says there's an x-intercept at 6, 0. So it goes through there. Well, if the focus and x-intercept are in the same line, that means this x-intercept actually has to be the vertex. So if I have the vertex and I have the focus, I have my A and C values respectively. A is 6, C is equal to, not 5, 4. Alright, once I know that, I then know that b squared is equal to a squared minus c squared. That's because I got c squared equals a squared minus b squared. If I add b squared over and subtract c squared, I get a squared minus c squared is equal to b squared. So I can go through and solve for b squared. I know b squared is equal to 36 minus 16, which is equal to 20. Once I have that, and given my center is at 0, 0, I can write my equation of x over 36 plus y squared divided by 20 is equal to 1. Okay, good luck on the IXL assignments. Please make sure that when you're doing those assignments, you have paper in front of you and you're drawing sketches so you can understand what's going on. That really helps. Or when you're looking for foci and such, use these equations right here. They're really going to help out. Thank you guys.